Alright, so today we're heading into my backyard to capture a bit of spring magic here in the desert. And for those of you who are new here, my name is Riley Clark and I'm a full-time nature and wildlife photographer. Now normally you would catch me out on the road in my custom-built camper van, which is probably how most of you have found this channel, but right now it's in the shop getting some much needed repairs. So classifying today's adventure as winging it is putting it lightly. So I am putting a little impromptu photography trip together and outing, not a trip because just here. And I went to grab my main camera and I realized that it is dead. And all my spare batteries are in the van, which is at the shop, like I talked about in the intro voiceover for this. So it's dead in the water. I can't use it. Thankfully, I have pretty much all of my batteries and spare batteries galore for my Canon, which is obviously a workhorse when it comes to photography too, because I've used this for so many years. Can't use a Lumix, gonna use the Canon though. The other problem is my photography bag is in the van as well, so I gotta use an old school one, and I'm hoping I can fit enough gear in this to go out and shoot, but we shall see. Also, my drone had a mishap the other day. It was hovering and just like literally fell like 3 feet out of the sky and snapped. I don't know what happened. It was the strangest thing. So I got a replacement for that coming. And yeah, a lot of things are breaking right now. But what we're kind of doing today is something I like to call reactive photography. I have no plans. I know I'm going to go to a place I always go to, and you guys have seen me go here often. With the light looking like it's going to be somewhat decent, maybe even great. I'm hoping to maybe go find some flowers. But the benefit of doing reactive photography rather than having a fully planned shoot or anything like that is I have zero expectations right now. In fact, I actually doubt I'm going to get a good shot because I am so uncomfortable right now with the state of where my equipment is. I'm driving my wife's car right now. I don't even have my van, which I rely heavily on with all my gear. I left my bag there that has a lot of my other stuff. And although some of this stuff is out of my control today, I'm actually pretty excited. First, just to get out and go for a walk. And second, just to kind of experiment with my photography with no expectation of outcome. I have a lot of great work from the location that I'm at, so I don't need to create anything more or new. It's more just for me, and I think that's a pretty big benefit of doing more reactive style photography like we're doing today. So now at this point, I was under the impression that finding cactus blooms was going to be my biggest challenge. Well, once I arrived to the location and began walking around, I was pleasantly surprised to figure out that finding the cactus blooms was a lot easier than I anticipated. Well, that didn't take very long. Let's see what I can kind of come up with. I think I'm gonna be happy I brought the 12 with me. Yeah, this is what I'm working with right now. Just putting the cactus like essentially in the middle of my frame while including the mountains in the background. It's actually kind of a little bit more complicated than I was hoping, just because this cactus is kind of sitting in the middle of all this dirt. For the most part, I actually think it is looking decent. There's a lot of texture in the sky, so that is helping out quite a bit. I am going to focus stack just in case, and I'm going to bracket quite a bit. I was pretty pleased with how this one turned out, especially for it being my first shot of the day. But I'll be honest with you, I was struggling trying to balance this composition out. Between the dynamic light and how the flowers laid out on the cactus, I do wish that that one in the bottom right was in full bloom as well, but with the cards that we were dealt, I still was happy with the shot. Now I had a little over an hour until sunset, so I decided to earmark this location for later and go and see if I could find another cactus in composition to photograph. So one of the things I'm checking myself on right now is getting locked in on one thing. That's the whole point, is being reactive out here, right? And the sky looks like it's gonna be great. So I've run into quite a few blooms. So now I'm running around trying to find a cactus bloom or some type of wildflower bloom that might work and balance well with the sunset. The problem is I'm probably passing up a lot of shots I could be getting, and I'm running the risk of maybe not getting what I'm being fixated on. I have about an hour left, so maybe some time still to scour, but maybe I'm looking at this wrong. Maybe I need to change up and almost go against what I'm trying to do right now. So I'm gonna meander up here a little bit more, but I'm kind of striking out now where I'm at up here. I'm not running into any more cactuses. So maybe I'm above the elevation that these blooms are happening. Maybe I need to go back down. Yeah, this is awesome. I'll show you guys here in a second. I don't know if you can see it on that camera right now. This sage has got like this purple bloom going on that is absolutely awesome. This could be potential sunset spot. So let's check this out. Maybe back a little bit further. A little tougher to frame up than I was thinking it would be. I'm going to try my 35 millimeter focal length. Maybe that is it. Maybe I don't have enough compression going on. Maybe I'm just too wide with the 24 mil. This one's a 12 to 24, so I'm going to throw the 15 to 35 on and see if that gets me a little bit more compression and maybe cleans up the scene a little bit. It does. Yeah, that looks really good, guys. Don't mind these people screaming in the background. I don't even know if you can even hear that, but not sure if this is where I'm going to be spending sunset, but I'm going to frame this composition up because I got about 20-ish minutes, 30 minutes till sunset. So I gave myself plenty of room. I walked by like 2 other composition possibilities though up here. So that's why I'm not fully sold on this just yet. But this is just a lot different look than what I've usually shot. So that's what's got me a little nervous about it.
Now, although I had 3 shots I was really happy with at this point, I wish I could tell you that the rest of the shoot went this smoothly. Now, it wasn't because I couldn't find other flowers or potential foreground subjects. In fact, it's actually quite the contrary. There were tons of blooms everywhere, but nothing was really that inspiring to me. And to make things a little bit more difficult, the sunset that I thought was going to be coming never really happened. But that's the great thing about shoots like this. It's not about the outcome of the shoot itself, but rather embracing the moment and finding enjoyment being out in nature. If you like the content of this, then consider hitting that subscribe button down below. But for now, I will see you guys in the next adventure. Thanks for experiencing nature through my lens.